Today on 7th Circle Gaming, we're analyzing the game Atomfall. We're counting this as the third in our series of second chance videos because we never really intended to analyze this game to begin with. There are hundreds of videos all over YouTube analyzing all the aspects of the game, and it really didn't seem like there was anything that we could add to the conversation. But that did make us a little bit curious as to why the game was considered to be so good, and that's what we think that we can get into, and that's why we decided to give the game a second chance. We'll get started with the analysis in just a moment. Of course, we do have our full disclosure, and you're welcome to pause the video and read through all of that if you do like, but if that's not really your thing, just let the video run, and we'll get to the gameplay footage in the analysis in just a moment. Gameplay footage that you're looking at now comes from the third area that players can potentially visit. We've chosen to share this with you because it does avoid the most story spoilers, and in our opinion it best represents what the majority of the world of Atomfall is going to look like. As we can see, the world of Atomfall is rendered in a very realistic way. Trees look like trees, buildings look like buildings, and gravity functions about like it does in the real world. Although we do not have the entirety of the user interface visible to avoid story spoilers, we will say that the user interface is restricted to the edges of the screen and rendered in a semi-transparent style to leave the majority of the play space free for rendering the in-game world. Not all of the in-game footage that we have for you on this particular video. There is a little bit of bonus footage later on, so stay tuned for that. For now though, we are going to move on to our first proper chapter, which is, as it always is, immersion. Here Atomfall has earned a very high score of 11 out of 15, seeming to rely primarily on presentation, challenge, audio, and story to get players immersed into its in-game world. Moving on now to difficulty, where the game has earned a score of 12 out of 15, which is, we shouldn't have to tell you, very high indeed. While Atomfall is not as transparent about all of its mechanics as we might like to see, the game doesn't miss out on a lot of points either. The real high point here is the customization offered by Atomfall. Players have a plethora of options that they can utilize to customize the experience to their personal preference. Although we do want to add that from our experience, the difficulty settings affect the potentially 3 different classes of opposition forces that players are going to encounter in the game somewhat differently. On now to Lasting Appeal, where Atomfall has earned a score of 8.5 out of 15, which we should point out is above average. From our evaluation sessions, it seemed like the game was relying primarily on the story to get us to play through to the end credits. After that, the reasons to replay through the game are largely centered around the idea of making different choices or attempting some sort of a player-defined challenge. Well, that's immersion, difficulty, and lasting appeal all covered, so let's move on now to the overall score. Overall, Atomfall has earned a score of 10.5 out of 15. That's all the objectivity we can manage for this particular video, so let's get out the salt and get subjective. To begin with, the game's story was really well crafted. There were 1 or 2 plot twists that even took us by surprise. Really enjoyed using the in-game version of the Bren gun. The audio was, in our opinion, very nice. The rendering was really good too, and the apparent effect on the NPCs was also very good. The game's music also did a good job of ratcheting up the tension at appropriate moments. But now it's time that we address the elephant in the room, and with this game, the elephant has a name, and its name is setting. Atomfall is a very English game, a very authentically English game, with a lot of regional accents to be heard. And if you're not at the very least a closet Anglophile, you probably won't get as much out of the game as someone who is. Even in a game as authentically British as Atomfall, there is the potential for a cheeky reference to Monty Python. What we're looking at in this screenshot is either a common piece of home decor from the 1950s, or it is a Norwegian blue that is tired and shagged out following a prolonged squawk, or maybe he's pining for the fjords. But now it's time for that bonus gameplay footage that we mentioned earlier. We're sharing this with you because we wanted to highlight the level of interactability with the in-game world. Before we leave you and let you enjoy the rest of this footage in silence, we do want to remind you that Atomfall requires an SSD. And with that, we offer hearty congratulations to everyone who watched all the way to the end of the video. We welcome your opinions and suggestions for games to analyze in the comments section below. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe for more of these highly objective video game reviews. Until the next video from 7th Circle Gaming, goodbye.